Now, according to a very good program called Solar System Scope Astronomy, the Sun is brighter than 85% of the stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Now, it is located 2/3 of the way out from the centre of the galaxy. The galaxy is 100,000 light years across, and this is just a recent discovery. It's not something that's been known for a very long time at all. And so if we take 100,000 and multiply it by pi, you've got pi, 3.14159, and 1, of course, is the Almighty. And so we can determine from that the distance to the centre of the galaxy in round figures based on that equation is 33,333.333 light years, and therefore the width of the orbit of the solar system in a 250 million year orbit around the galaxy, and I'll remind you in a moment of the 250 number, or the 25 number, because it's a pyramid number. So we have 6666, and that is the word, the distance around times pi is 209439.5102, so we'll just round it off at 2094, which is etos in Greek, which means a year. In Hebrew, Zahar, to gleam, enlightened by caution, admonish, teach, give warning, and that's what I'm doing. Now this is taken from that program, and 85, that number 85 is Abraham in the Hebrew concordance, and it's saying it's about 2/3. And that's what the sun looks like, and you see the flares coming off. So, just remind you what I'm saying here. Now, the speed of light is rubbish, of course. Now, at the centre of the sun, mathematicians have calculated, or physicists have calculated 25 million degrees, and it drops to 11 million degrees. Now, Carl Sagan said whoever works this out is going to be the greatest mind on the planet, because they have no idea why, and I'll tell you why. Now, light speeds up as it is pushed away by the light waves building up from behind. So as the energy reaches the surface of the sun and is transformed to a visible light, it then starts to escape as light and heat. But in this case, we're talking light. And this then supposes, as light is constant due to Einstein's theory, E equals mc squared, the time to reach the edge of the universe is billions of years, because it's what he's saying, mc squared is, c squared is the speed of light squared, and that's it. It doesn't go any faster than that. Okay, so I'm saying no, that's totally wrong, because what you see here is as the light is moving as a wave from the surface of the sun, it's expanding. Well, naturally it's got to expand. It goes in all directions. Take it a square mile, square centimetre, the light waves must expand as it goes away from a circle or a circular point. It must get wider. So therefore it drops in temperature to 11,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's escaping the gravity of the sun, and the lights must speed up. Therefore, by the time it reaches the Earth, we see the latitude of the King's Coffer of the Great Pyramid is the same number as the speed of light, 29 degrees, 0.9794200 north latitude, which is the speed in kilometres per second, 299,794,200. The sudden escape decreases the temperature, otherwise we'd be burnt up. So we take the 25 million degrees, subtract 11,000 degrees, and we have a difference of 249,89000, And Hebrew 2498 is the word shalach, to hasten away, to pierce or change. It can be seen in Genesis 35:2, which is to change garments, and that is what you do when you change garments. In this case, it's changing its garment of light. Now, Jesus as the light of the earth, right? Now we've got Psalms 102:26 and Habakkuk 11:1. They is where you'll find those numbers. The fusion rate of the sun is 657, which is equal to the Lord New Testament total, and of course the 11th of January is 11:1. When we calculate the distance around the sun, the math is 864,000, approximately the width. After all, you're measuring a gas, times pi gives you 2714,333.6. So we have the Hebrew number rounded to 2714. But the word is sheker, enumeration, finding out number, examination, deliberation. The Greek is katenoppium, directly in the sight of, before the presence of, in the sight of. So you're looking at the sun, calculate what it's doing, is what it's saying. Now time is 360 degrees, 360 minutes, 360, etc. Divide by 2714,333.6 by 360 gives you 7450, and Hebrew 754 is length, or lengthening. So what's saying is as the light is coming out, it's lengthening. Now the base of the Great Pyramid with the rejected capstone in place has a base width of 9131.06 pyramid inches. So as days equals 25 years. And I've said before that the distance from the house that I owned in Nell Street to the South Pole was a distance of 5813, which is the capstone in place, which is myself, of course. And the distance around the earth is 31680, which is Lord Jesus Christ in kilometres in Greek gematria. Lord is 800, Jesus 888, and Christ is 1480, total 3168. As said previously, the 2498 number, chalaf, is to hasten away, change, or go away. And the sun rotates once every 25 days, so 600 hours, or 3600 minutes. As for Albert Einstein, he would be the first to agree it is the divine hand of God, because as they paint him as an atheist, he wasn't. He actually believed in Jesus. So we'll look at the equation just momentarily, and I've corrected it. He assumes that the speed of light is constant, E equals mc squared. I've changed it to the correct equation is E equals m in brackets minus g squared equals c, speed of light. What I mean is this: light from the sun is pushed away from the sun's surface. Each is pushing like train carriages from within. Each wave expands slightly as gravity of the sun is further away. This means the edge of the universe is not billions of years old or distant away. It is only thousands of years old, therefore a mature creation. Now the people that supply money for universities will only hire morons that will go along with what they want to be said. If they disagree, they get fired or killed. A lot of astronomers, for example, over the last little while, at least 100 astronomers have been murdered because of the approach of Nibiru coming in. So the oldest of all matter in the universe is the earth, and everything was to be created after it. This is the basic story of Genesis. This occurred as light passed through the veil of time from the other side of the veil, between the heavenly realm into the earthly realm of time. At the centre of each star or planet is a white hole where matter pours through. So the black hole nonsense is utter crap. So the black hole is a myth, as physics conclude the opposite of reality due by universities bought and paid for by corporations. And as Stephen Hawking said about the black hole, I said, what's wrong with you, Stephen? You're a complete fuckwit. So now, Lucifer's demons, which print fiat currency via the Federal Reserve Bank of America and purchase all multinational corporations worldwide. Einstein was born into a Jewish family, but his parents were most of his new family were totally irreligious. What a word. His father referred to Jewish rituals as ancient superstitions, because that's what they are. Because his parents had no faith in Judaism, they sent their son to a Catholic school in the neighbourhood. He often rebuked people using his name to support an atheist viewpoint. He said he studied the New Testament at the age of 32 and realised the education was lacking anything but about Jesus, and said that he was in awe of the words of the Nazarene. He had no idea that Jesus was an Essene and not a Jew. I don't think it would have made any difference to him. One of the most interesting answers Einstein gave during an interview by a man called VATICAN was his response to how Christianity had influenced him. Einstein said, "I am enthralled by the luminous figure of the Nazarene. I accept the historical Jesus. No one can read the Gospels without feeling the actual presence of Jesus. His personality pulsates in every word. No myth is filled with such life." Now, if that was taught in all schools concerning Jesus, I think you'd have a different outcome of the atheist that's being produced. This is a black square hole that started on May the 2nd and finished on May the 12th this year, 2014. Now, what I'll do now, I'll go over to a PowerPoint that I was going to run. What I'll do is find it. And I was interrupted by, I don't know, this little woman that said that she wanted to have coffee. Naturally, I was thrilled to be interrupted twice. And anyhow, this is what I was doing. I'm taking a screenshot here of the distances from Jupiter to the Sun, and you can see how the line pops up, and what it's reading is 5.34, but I'll zoom in a moment when I go through them and I'll show you why, so you can see it up close. This one is to Mercury, and the distance there is 5.04. And the next planet out is Venus, and that's 4.88. And then we go to Mars, and that's 4.46. And then we go to the Earth, it's 4.52. And then we go to the Sun, and it's 5.34. So I'll zoom in so you can, and go through it again so you can see the numbers, how they change, and get you a better look at it. So we're on the Sun at the moment, so I'll go back down to Mercury, and you see how it's not all that clear, but see if I go in a bit. I'll leave it there. It's 5.04. You can just make it out, I guess. I'll show you a screen capture of a bitmap I drew of these, showing the positions, and we'll go over to the actual numbers. So we've got the Sun at 5.34, Saturn at 7.44, Mercury at 5.04, Venus 4.88, Earth 4.52, Mars 4.46, and the total is 31.68. This is the point of all this. Now, down below, for example, we go there, you see the cursor, we go there, that's one of the more distant planets, that's Neptune, and over to the right we've got Uranus there, and Pluto is up here. Now, some years ago they took Pluto out of the equation. It's no longer a planet. How dumb is that? Now, what I want to show you here is, to the Uranus, Neptune and Pluto, we have a total of 77.71. Now, any hour from that would change that slightly. So you'd end up with 77.7. So that's the point. That's January the 11th, 1944. So we go back to this solar system scope, and I'll do it live. Zoom out. Since I've been using this program, this was a free download originally, and I have it on an older computer, but as usual when I do something they go and alter the bloody thing. You can download this for your computer, pay money for it, and you're supposed to be able to measure. Now what I've done, I've downloaded onto my latest computer, and it won't give me the distances. Now whether it's just my computer or whether it happens to everybody, the program is called Solar System Scope. So it is an excellent program in that sense. So, well, there is the line you can see pointing to the sun, and the distance is 5.34 astronomical units. Then you go to Mercury and it's 5.04. Then we're going out to Venus and it's 4.88. Then we go to the Earth and it's 4.52. Mars is 4.46, and then Saturn is 7.44. And we'll just go back to, where are we? To that one there. Now, there's all your distances to the side. I'll zoom in a bit so you can see the numbers, you can confirm it. Now, I did another one which is there. Another view of the system, and there's those numbers confirmed. To the Sun 534, Saturn 744, Mercury 504, Venus 488, Earth 452, Mars 446, and a total is 3168. Go to the bottom, we got Jupiter to Uranus 1844, Neptune 266, and Pluto 32674, a total of 77.71. Now you got the 777 number, and that comes up well in the age difference between my stepdaughter and daughter, 777 days. The age of Noah's father, 777 years. His father was Methuselah. They are the people that, with the information, come from the Essene, Enoch, the oldest religion on earth, built the Great Pyramid. Now, I did this again for the date of my crucifixion plus 1910 years, which is 1943. And the Jupiter to Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, that number is 3338, and that is the age I was as Jesus when I was resurrected from the dead, April the 5th, 33 AD, calculated from June the 17th, 2 BC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, a perfect number. Now the reason I'm measuring from Jupiter is because Jupiter is the main planet that has figured in the birth of my children, myself, etc. So it is 88,800 miles across. There it is then. Now, normally I would use a screen capture on this, but because I use screen capture, the computer gets hacked, and I can't use screen capture on this particular program. The other computer, which is over to the left here, I'll show you that, which has got scope running, it's got screen capture, but it doesn't show up the distances to the planet, so they've hacked that as well. So this is what I'm up against, right? Every time I do something, you go and change it. So in this solar system scope on the left there, it gives you the distances out from, I'll bring this over, so just see what we've got here. And with this particular one, what you can do here is click on Jupiter, and you get the structure. So that's how it is there. That's good. Go back. So you can go to the Sun, for example, and get the structure of that. Show information. And this is what we were talking about, how the Sun at 25 million degrees moves out from the centre. At the centre of this is a connection to the heavenly realm. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So the heavens coming to the earth, and that is why the psychopaths are in charge of all nations. I'll give an example. There's a Jesuit that's just become Prime Minister of Australia, and one of the first things he's done is, how many billions did he take away the Education Department?
30 billion.
He's taken, this is a small country, he's taken 30 billion out of the budget for education of the kids. Now that's what these arseholes do. So Australia, I was in the Inventors Association just for the hell of it years ago, and I invented about 200 inventions, magnetic motors and things like that. Can't get any of them patented because it's me. And Australians in 1 year alone at the, there's a competition of inventors, I think it's in Sweden or somewhere. And Australia, out of 100 inventions, won 20 of the best inventions in the world. So Australians are very, very clued in people, and it's probably due to the German and English immigrants, and the fact that it's in the southern hemisphere would give it some indication where the intelligence of the planet is in the south of it because of the stupidity. I mean, you take your Americans, for example, you elect skull and bonesmen. Now, Australia's not much better, but they don't elect skull and bonesmen. Right? And all your system in America is controlled by the fiat money system. They just print up with whatever money they want and go and buy corporations, so now they own everything on earth. That's the legacy of 1913, the Jekyll Island meeting where all of the European bankers bought it and formed the Federal Reserve Bank of America. And it sounds like it's a government corporation. Of course it isn't. So anyhow, on this program you can't measure anything, right? Because they've hacked my computer. That's the whole point. Now, it'll show you, so the structure, okay. So what's happening is it's 25 million degrees, it comes out Fahrenheit, and it comes out to here, and it suddenly drops to 11 million degrees. Now, the reason for that is trying to explain on the internet yesterday to you, that gravity is so immense that light is being compressed, because light is energy and it's being compressed, and as it's coming out, it's beginning, the compression is getting less gravity, so therefore it's expanding slightly. And when it comes to this point here, it then comes out as light, heat and light, and it'll slowly expand like balloons going out into space. So think of the waves as being expandable, which they are, and because they repel each other, one behind the other is like a train being pushed by a locomotive, and the ones in front, the very first one, is a lot bigger than the next one, and then it gets smaller and smaller right down to weight being compressed against the loco that's pushing it along. So this is the loco, and that's the gravity. So as it's escaping gravity, that's where Einstein is completely wrong. Matter of fact, I've looked at Einstein's work, and as a child, my brother told me about Einstein. I was 2 years of age and I thought he's an idiot. Now, I didn't realise that as a child of 2 years of age that other kids didn't think like I did, but I was far more advanced in thinking than the average adult. I sadly came to realise as I got older. So that's what it's all about. Now, it's quite a marvellous program in the sense that you can do this with it, show information and structure. So at the centre again, you've got this popping through from the compression stage of the heavenly realm, and then it comes into a less gravitational field and expands outwards. So that's why you've got the dense material in the centre, and then gravity is pulling it. So you got a Mars, for example, you got a structure, and you've got a similar type of thing. It showed the info on it. So all these things are very good. So it's partially liquid iron, nickel and sulphur. Alright, so then you can go to Saturn, same thing. Alright, show info. Dense solid rock. Okay. So Uranus. Now, what amazes me is that these people are so stupid, yet they can tell you what the centre of this thing is. It was only a few years ago they couldn't even see it. Right, now let's take Neptune. All right, now what they've done here, same deal. More information. Core silicate iron nickel rock. Right, but you'll notice over on the right hand side here, they've taken out entirely Pluto. Now, Pluto's very important. Now, not only can they not hardly see it, so many years ago, it wasn't that long ago, now they can tell you what's inside those planets. Now, how dumb is that? So, in this particular program, it's saying the solar system is 2/3 of the way out from the centre of the Milky Way galaxy, and so I was just doing a PowerPoint on that, and I'll just show you what I've written so far. Get this out of the way. So we started up here. According to Solar System Scope Astronomy Program, the Sun is brighter than 85% of the stars in the Milky Way galaxy. That's not a bad effort. 85 is Abraham in Hebrew. It is located 2/3 of the way out from the centre of the galaxy. So the galaxy is 100,000 light years wide. Now they didn't know that until about 40 years ago. And that was a guess at the time, and it's slowly got more and more accurate. But it is 100,000 light years wide. Now you say, well, why 100,000? Well, one is alpha, is God, right? And if you multiply by pi, what do you get? Pi, 3.16, 3.14159, something like that, I forget. Anyhow, it says to the galaxy is 100,000 light years across, and so the distance, zoom in a bit, is 33,333.33333 light years from the centre. The orbit width, therefore, is 66,600. Now, there's 6,666 lords in the King James Bible. Now, the King James Bible is a trap. It's a satanic Freemason Lucifer worshipping cult that put it all together, but it was tweeted by William Shakespeare, who was Edward de Vere, and King James VI, who was forced into becoming a Freemason, although he was a Catholic. And his mother had been beheaded by these bastards. So he was getting even with them, right? There's no way he's going to go along with the translation to, number one, destroy the Catholic Church, which is what they was trying to do, and set up a bloodbath between the Catholics and the Protestants and the followers of the King James Bible. So there was a bloodbath to get rid of all the Catholics in England and the UK itself. So the distance around at pi 3.14159, I remembered it. I'd forgotten before. Is 209,439.5102 light years. Therefore, the Greek concordance is 2094 is etos, a year. In Hebrew, it is zahar, to gleam, enlighten, by caution, admonish, teach, give warning. Now, the Arabs regarded the sun as being the destroyer. And if anyone has seen Lawrence of Arabia, you see one scene there where Lawrence is riding along on his camel. They're going across a very hot desert, and one man falls off and he doesn't notice. And when he gets to where they were camping for the night, he sees one camel has lost its rider, so he asks about it, and they said, oh, he fell off. So they didn't stop, the Arabs didn't stop to pick him up. So he said, well, why is that? So he charges back across the desert, picks the guy up, and he brings him back, and it saves him. And then, in a skirmish, he was killed. Now, apparently this is a true story. The idea being was that they he fell over in the desert, and the desert was destroying him, the sun was destroying him, so the destroyer had determined that he's going to die. So they killed him anyhow. Now, another interesting fact about the insanity of Arabs. When the young boy was throwing a rock and he smashed a jar in Qumran, and they then discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls. When he was a man, he got into an argument and he was offended by someone in the tribe, so he cut his heart out and ate it. This is the guy that found the most important discovery in modern time in biblical studies, and he cut a man's heart out and ate it. Now, why isn't that in the news? Why isn't it part of the story of the Dead Sea Scrolls? Why is it I can find it, and I suppose if you come and find it now, try and find it on the internet, it'll be gone like everything else I bloody discover they go and change, right? Mm. Like Wikipedia is totally Jewish. Mm. If I say something, they go and change it. So this is what we're up against. Now we'll go down to the next slide, and it says the sun and the galaxy. So it is located about 2/3 of the way out from the centre of the galaxy. Why don't they say it's 33,333,003 light years, and the distance across the orbit is 66? Like, what? Why not? I'll tell you why. I'll go to the other computer. What amazes me is they actually think they can outsmart God. They know Protocol 14, we will forbid Christ. That means we're going to forbid the man himself when he shows up, because we know he was a man when he showed up the last time, and that was God in the flesh. So when he shows up this time, we're going to forbid him, right? Not so?
It is so.
You should have your lipstick on, and I'll push the camera around to look at you.
Well, it's all right.
Now, the Protocols of Zion was discovered somewhere around 1895 when a courier was struck by lightning. I believe that's what the story is. And the Bavarian police had found this thing on him, and then they exposed it. And it's the 24 Protocols of the Jews and how they're going to take over the world. And this is, of course, there's a very, very long, old and ancient method that they had dreamed up many, many, many centuries ago. But it was secret, subterfuge, secrecy. And in it talks about when Christ shows up, they can stop him.
I wanted to say is I wanted to take Charlie for a walk along the beach.
You want to take Charlie for a walk along the beach? In the midst of this wonderful...
Well, I can watch it when you're recording. And unless you would like me to
Look, don't make excuses. Just go for your walk along the beach, all right?
Okay.
This is where I made a mistake. I thought I'm by myself now. I can get into making a decent uninterrupted PowerPoint and start recording. Right? And I get 2 phone calls. Who do you think they were from? One on the house phone and one on my mobile phone. Write in your answer. Now what we got then is on the right hand side we've got the NIV and on the left we've got the KJV. So we can go to the KJV and we put in a word like Lord, and it comes up 6,666 times. Remember what I just told you? That's the position of the width of the solar system in the Milky Way galaxy. Okay, now what we can do now is we go over to the NIV. So we're going to go to Windows and we're going to switch windows. And we'll do the same thing. Now the NIV is owned by the Australian Rupert Murdoch, and if you list the corporations that this asshole owns, it is unbelievable. Right? He's a Zionist Jew. His mother was a Jew. Put in the word Lord. $6,434. So we've got 6666 in the KJV. Take away 6434. There's 232 been taken out. Now, we then say, we'll look at another word. Jesus, who is Lord, that's me. There's 1,225. So now we'll do it this one. Whoops. $942. So we've got 1225 and 942. So obviously they're changing it for a reason, but the reason they give is better. It's better the one of the divine one, the first Holy Bible. It's better. So they got 1225 and 942, and then with the Lord it's been reduced by 232. So why do they do that? Well, they say that if you've got to get a copyright on so you can make money on it, you've got to substantially alter the literature. So you could say take Shakespeare and substantially alter it, and then you can get a copyright on it and you can sell it. Right? That's the whole idea of it. So they've taken 283 Jesus and added it to the NIV, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, and then they've got 232 Lords they've taken away. Yeah, which is 550. We'll stop that. Now, on the left is the KJV, and it says the book of the generations of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. And it goes through. The record of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David and the son of Abraham. Okay? Slight change. Then we go to Matthew 1:16. Now, I remind you that the 1:16 is the width of the antechamber in the Great Pyramid, the pillar to the altar to the Lord in the midst of Egypt. It's Isaiah 19:19 and 19:20 if you're interested. And the gematria for those two verses is the height in Hebrew numbers, as each letter totals the height of the Great Pyramid in pyramid inches up to the missing and rejected capstone. So I'll read this and you listen to what it's saying. And Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who was called Christ. Right? Now we go to the NIV. And Jacob, the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who was called Christ. So what they're saying is that Joseph is the father of Jesus, when the father of Jesus is, of course, Yahweh. And Yahweh and Jesus are one, Jesus quote. And therefore, why? Well, Yahweh, the father of all, the father of creation, cannot, as Jesus, be fathered by anyone but the Creator. Certainly a lesser mortal could not be the father of Jesus. The reason being is Jesus, as the Father, can come to the earth and pay the price for the sins of everybody. Everybody sins except the Father. So the Father, as Jesus, cannot sin. And therefore, when they crucified and scourged and the blood poured out all over the body, what happened was, in the Old Testament stupidity, the God of the Old Testament, which isn't Jesus, it isn't the Father, is supposedly requiring blood sacrifices so that if you are a sinner, you can take your best sheep and offer it for a sin offering, and when it has its throat cut, the blood pours out upon the wool of the sheep, and therefore the God of the Old Testament, or the Torah, the Talmud, cannot see the blood, through the blood, and see your sins. So today, we've got these lunatics that are sacrificing the innocent in Palestine. And by sacrificing the innocent in Palestine with all these diabolical weapons, their sin is placed upon the Palestinian innocent, especially the children, and therefore their God cannot see the sin of themselves through the blood of the innocent Palestinians. Now, if that's not bad enough, with the Fukushima, they're going to kill everybody in the Northern Hemisphere. And you'll note that Australia doesn't have any nuclear generators. Therefore, it is not potentially a bomb. Now, if you're going to develop a hydrogen bomb, the plane flies in, can be shot down by, if you're going towards Russia, for example, or anywhere else, and you've got a problem. It's going to fall where you don't want it to fall. If it doesn't blow up, where it drops, it can be grabbed by the country it drops into. Now, if you want to destroy a nation, the best way of doing it is get a country like Japan, who will pay you to build these super bombs on a fault line under an aquifer that flows down from the bloody mountains, and then the Ronald Reagan aircraft carrier in the area, which they don't give a shit about either, drops a gigantic bomb to the bottom of the ocean just off the coast of Japan. If you look it on the, you can look it up on the internet where it actually fell, where the 9.9 Richter earthquake is supposed to have happened, which caused a tsunami. Now, I say they don't care about their own people, which is what's happening out in Iraq and so forth. The world turns their eye to the plutonium bullets they're using on the men, women and children in Iraq and the deformities, which I've showed you in another upload. But they don't care about the people on board the Ronald Reagan either. They can build another ship, that's not a problem. They all got radiated. Now, there's a law in America that says you can't sue the United States government for being involved in an act of war, and if you get hurt by radiation, you can't sue the Navy or the United States government, but you can sue the Japanese government. That's what these idiots are doing. So all you people who are going to war for America, for fuck's sake, come home. Right? Now the easiest way to clean up this radiation is with iron. You can get iron out of the several countries of the world. In Australia, for example, there's vast amounts of iron ore, and it is about 65 to 70% iron. So you don't even have to crush it up. So you blast it out of a mountain, you throw it on a train, you then put it on a ship, you crush it down if you like to the size that you want it, and then you can take it off the coast of Japan, where out of reach of the radiation, and start dumping it overboard, billions of tons of it, and that'll stop the radiation coming back. And now the Japanese have to get in and divert the aquifer coming off the mountains, which is a huge amount of water coming there, but very, very cleverly they have the aquifer right underneath these 6 nuclear plants. So the idea is to divert the water, and that's only digging a hole, you can do that. And then iron ore is dumped onto the site, cover it over with a mile high of iron ore, right out into the sea as far as possible, and that will kill all the radiation that's now killing the Earth. And for Christ's sake, go in and close down all these nuclear plants around the world. You've got thorium that can produce with 3 containers of sand off the sea, can run the United States for a year, right, with thorium. And if you just happen to take a day off, you can close the damn thing down and you won't do any damage whatsoever. There's no side effects from developing power from thorium. What do we say for 8 ounces of, or 8 milligrams of thorium? You can run a car for 1 million miles. So that's what we will be doing in the future. We're not going to give up on the Earth and say close it down. I'm just going to fix it. Huh? 8 grams, was that? That's a huge amount. It's about a quarter of a cup.
No, not even. 8 grams it's 1.5 teaspoons.
1.5 teaspoons of this material, which is free. Just get a shovel and go down to the nearest beach and start shoveling in, and there you've got enough thorium to run Australia, for example, for a couple of years. Wheelbarrow full. So that's the simplicity of it. So what are we going to do with the rods that's going to be taken out of all of these 500 and some odd nuclear plants? Well, I've already put it up on YouTube. How do you do that? You make an electron gun and you put them in steel containers and then fire them out into space. Right? You can fire them at the sun if you like. The sun will love it. Or south. I'd be inclined to go straight for the sun because of the gravitational field. Once you get into the area of the sun, the gravity will pull it in, and that will take care of the problem. Now I'll continue on. Now I just wanted, this is a very important point. And Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary. Right? And Jacob, the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born, right? So Mary, of whom was born, who was called the Christ. And what they're trying to imply, when you read down a few verses, is that Joseph is the father. Here, I can trace out and compare the 942 in depth. Up here, let's just zoom in a little bit. What I've done here, I'll just stop that for a minute. What I've done here is with the other computer, the old Dell that I've got, and I've got several of them, and I keep buying them when I get the chance, because they have a search facility that you can put in searching for a picture and dump in a number, and I've got 20,000 bitmaps, similar to what I'm going to show you here. So what we have here, remember the sun, 25 million degrees. Well, at 25 degree latitude, and you've got the pyramid up here, just where this pointer is, it is 25 years wide at 9131.06 pyramid inches. Each 1 inch represents a day. Because the base is 36524.24, which is 100 years, so one side of the pyramid in its completed form is 25 years. So we've got the number from the sun again. When you take the number 2500, that's the number for Joseph. Right? Joseph of Arimathea, for example. So this is the eclipse that occurred 14 days after I was born, and this is the day I came home from the hospital with my mother after 14 days. They used to keep women in hospital longer, and she wasn't well anyhow. And 8,888.8 miles to, now get this, 105, which means angel or eagle, Rothschild Avenue, which is the beast. I'm born into the very heart of the beast. I couldn't get much further into it. Right, Rothschild Avenue, which of course controls Australia. So I'll just carry on. 14 days after I was born, which is Abba, 14 is the word Abba, God is born. On the 25-degree latitude, and you always use the 25-degree latitude because the pyramid base is 25 years wide, being 9131.06 pyramid inches wide, and you call that a day per pyramid inch, and it's 25 years. So you go to the 25-degree latitude, north or south. So we've got north there, and down here we've got the south 25-degree latitude. So you measure 942 miles from that to the house that I grew up in till I was 942 days old. Do you catch my drift? And that occurred on Prince Charles' 64th birthday, the 11th of November. Now I want to show you this here. The word comforter is the distance from there, where I was born, the house I grew up in, to the South Pole. Right, so that's the word comforter. What is it? 3785. 3875, isn't it? Well, I'll be damned. Anyhow. So you take 1948. I always do that. That's what the arsehole was born. And you add 64. That's 2012. So this is just before the crossing of the Milky Way galaxy, which was wrong, by the way. As I've told you before, the solar calendar is out because of Gregorian change of time in 1582 on October the 4th, making October the 5th the 15th. And the sunrise to sunset for Rome was 666 minutes, and that's the same date of the conclave in 1978 elected the Jew, John Paul II. And he's the man that has altered, along with John Carley, which was John the 23rd, to introduce Vatican II, changing a 1400-year-old document from Vatican I to Vatican II. And the Pope, when I spoke to him, this is Benedict, he asked me what I thought of Vatican II, and I said it's a load of crap. So I wrote him Vatican III, and it is on the Scrib site. So any of you who want to go and have a look at that, you can find it. We'll do it in, how you get to it in the upload. I'll put it down the bottom so you can go to it, see it. Now, so that's 942 miles. You know, I just told you what 942 is. So there's the other one. That happened 14 days on the 25th of January 1944, and that's what I wrote about it down there. So the solar eclipse of January 25th, 1944, 25 degrees latitude below the pyramid, is 8,888.8 miles. Now, the word Jesus, of course, has a gematria of 888. So to my birth home, so on November the 14th, 2012, 25 degrees south, 942 miles to the Jesus and Jesus verse total, which I've showed you. And that is why they alter see, they are much more advanced in knowing who I am. They knew who I was before I was born. They knew what day I was going to, and where I was going to be born, because all they had to do was see my brother, who was illegitimate, my stepbrother, and when he was 8.88 years old, what happens? Well, I was born. The sunrise to moonrise was 888 minutes. So, with these programs, we'll go back to wherever it is I was looking. Where is it? See what we've got here running. Search. What I should mention here is this pre-knowledge. They already knew that the Golightly family was the royal line, and the Marshal was involved because they married into the Golightly's father, daughters of King William Lion of Scotland. So it's very, very important, but they already knew this. So what they do, they set it all up so that the actual location would be 105 Rothschild Avenue. So they named the very point where I had to be born into Rothschild Avenue, and just waited to see what would happen. That is, if we concede that they could possibly be that smart. That is the question. Results. So we've got all these. I'll just give you one as an example. This is the date, Saturday, August 1946, right? And going back to the 21st of December, I suppose I should focus on it, might help, wouldn't it? Okay. Now, what I want to... We just talked... I'll just pause it there. What I wanted to show you here was on the 222nd day of the year, I'm 942 days old. Now the word, I weigh 222 pounds today, 74 inches tall, times 3 is 222. The word wisdom is found 222 verses of the KJV, and also 222 times the word wisdom. 222 and 221 is the word Nazarene, or Nazareth, right? So we're looking at the Mayan calendar, the 21st of December 2012, and elapsed time from the 10th of August 1946 to that 21st of December is 24240 days. Now, why is that so? That's 2424 is Jesus in the Greek concordance. So become pretty obvious that this is a divine thing. And I'm just checking another number here, hold on. Yeah, the 3462 is to anoint, and the word anoint comes from the word Christ. That's what Christ means, to anoint. To anoint with perfumed oil or myrrh. Right, so you then trace that out and you'll find that it goes back to the word Christ. Alright, so this is what I do for a living. About the 21st of December. If you go back to the date when I was 942 days old, moved from Rothschild Avenue, which is that one there, okay, and that's down the bottom. Now, as computers are all hacked, they have all this information, so they're doing their very, very best to speed up your demise, and they want to kill you all, because this is what evil does. If they can't have the earth, you ain't going to have it, because you are my people, and they want to get rid of you. In other words, if Christ can't have, if they can't have the earth, Christ can't have it. So they're going to kill everybody with Fukushima. Okay, now let's get into it here. Between Saturday the 10th of August, when I was 942 days old, to the 21st of December 2012 Mayan calendar, I was 24240 days old, or 3462 weeks and 6 days. Now, I'll tell you why. Significant. We're going to go up to show 2424 in Greek. Jesus. All right. So this is what I have stored in my computers. So I can search anything I like in these older computers, and I've got several of these computers because they go in and stuff them up. And I've just got, because they're second hand and they're old, I keep on buying them because they keep on stuffing them up. So this one here is the same, I'd say. Alright, so I'll leave it there. It gives you some idea. What I'm saying is that in the old computer you can search a number, a word or whatever, and you can nominate where you want the computer to look in the pictures or something like that, and it'll find every one I've got. Or you hook up the hard drive, for example, there might be a gigabyte of information, and it'll search the entire hard drive looking for everything with a number, say 942, whether it be in any of the documents that I've done over the years or any of the bitmaps or whatever you like. As an interest, I do, if I continue on here, I'll show you, which I won't do, it's making it too long, but it talks about Prince Charles being proud of being descended from Vlad the Impaler. He's proud of it. Hasta la vista, baby. Would you like to make a phone call or something? Interrupt me one minute.
Okay.
I think that stopped it. You never know with these bloody computers, do you? I'm pissed off it's not recording.